Away from Niger State, the 2025 Annual Flood Outlook has identified 1,249 communities as high flood risk areas and 2,187 as moderate flood risk areas across various states. At the public presentation of the Annual Outlook, Minister of Water Resources Joseph Utsev emphasized the importance of flood management and community preparedness. Senior reporter Habib Delawal has details.
The Federal Minister of Water Resources and Sanitation.
The federal government is harnessing the power of local knowledge and technology through innovative community-based forecasting initiatives. These programs are designed to improve preparedness and response strategies for flooding, a growing concern as climate change intensifies weather patterns. A total of 31 states have been identified as high flood risk areas. Minister of Water Resources Joseph Utsev says it is crucial for communities within these regions to take proactive measures.
Moderate impact floods are expected in 445 communities in 116 local government areas in 24 states for the months of April, May, and June, and 1,458 communities in 271 local government areas fall within the months of July, August, and September.
The hydrological agency saddled with the responsibility of forecast has come up with interventions for reducing the impact of flood disaster on most vulnerable communities. It noted that collaboration is vital in these efforts.
Strengthen resilience of the communities and provide policymakers and disaster risk managers with timely, precise, and actionable flood risk information.
We are working with NIHSA and some other agencies on anticipatory action on floods, and we know that this year things are going to be different. We are going to be holding simulation exercises from decision makers all the way down to the local governments.
With the climate crisis already a reality, the focus on community-based initiatives reflects a shift towards empowering residents to take control of their safety and future. As Nigeria braces for the 2025 rainy season, authorities are urging state governments, local councils, and at-risk communities to act on the forecast insights, strengthen disaster preparedness plans, and participate in national programs designed to reduce vulnerability and save lives. Habib Delawal, TVC News, Abuja.
Executive Director, Environmental Defenders Network, Chima Williams, joins me live from Lagos via Zoom. Good to have you join us, Mr. Williams. Another flood warning has been issued with emphasis on flood management and community preparedness. From your evaluation, have we learned anything from experiences with flooding in the past?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me to join my voice on this discourse. The issue of flooding is not new to Nigeria and to Nigerians. The discourse around it, the menace of flooding arising from the impacts of climate change, which has dealt heavy blows on Nigeria and Nigerian communities and Nigerian citizens, is no longer news. But I think what might be news might be the statements from the Nigerian authorities. Of course, over time, it's always been forecast predictions, by the various agencies on anticipated flood incidents that will occur as a result of heavy rainfall in the country. But after all the forecasts, after all the talk, what are the actions, proactive actions and proactive steps taken by relevant authorities, stemming from even community administrations to local governments, to the states, and then, of course, federal government, of course, because there must be synergy between all the actors, all the stakeholders, including the victims themselves, in trying to present proactive steps towards reducing the impact
Mr. Williams,
of, the anticipated incidents.
Yes, I hear you, Mr. Williams, and indeed that exactly is what they are driving out this year. The Nigeria Hydrological Service, while presenting that flood outlook, one of the things they spoke about is, the fact that the communities have to be prepared, the fact that there has to be synergy, just like you mentioned, there has to be collaboration. I would focus on community-based initiatives. And I'm wondering, how effective do you suppose it would be in mitigating the impact?
Yeah, I think, of course, that's a first step in the right direction, trying to understand that there must be synergy between all the stakeholders. And of course, I had, in the discussion, a talk on simulation exercise to already show, since the months of this anticipated great flood incidents have already been identified, later part of April, May, and June. Okay, so simulation exercises beginning from now to be embarked upon in the communities, especially the most vulnerable communities, so that citizens begin to understand, one, that remediative efforts that might be put in place by government should be supported, for the advantage and good of citizens. For instance, if there are moves by government to relocate citizens from their primary residences or primary domain to another location that is primarily built to contain, citizens within this period to reduce the heavy impact, citizens should take proactive steps by preparing themselves, towards this new reality. Now, it is no longer news. Every year, we have these flood incidents ravaging our communities and our peoples, destroying farmlands, destroying livestock, destroying, in fact, including residential quarters, being destroyed, and valuable equipment, materials, documents being destroyed because it comes upon the people, suddenly, so they could do nothing. But in this instance, if there are, orientation exercises that takes place to now teach citizens on what to do immediately, like evacuating their valuables, evacuating their, resources, evacuating their materials, and of course, if there are things to be done, like embankments to protect farm areas, for instance, from the heavy flooding entering into those farmlands, destroying the farm crops. Don't forget that this period in most parts of Nigeria is planting season. Yes. Okay, so great floods within this period will cause a lot of havoc on agricultural, products.
I hear you, Mr. Williams. Earlier, you spoke about the need for the people to cooperate with the authorities when there is need to evacuate. Already, do we have facilities in place, structures erected for the sole purpose of attending to people in periods of emergency like this?
Yes, this is why we are already saying that the identification by the relevant authorities in Nigeria this time that there should be synergy between all the stakeholders, is a step in the right direction. So, of course, words without action will mean, like it's always been, talk, no action. So the action we expect to see is that if we have identified that some citizens within some vulnerable areas will be relocated, that such facilities will be built, because you won't be relocating the citizens to nowhere. You won't be relocating them on top of trees. If you will talk reasonably and responsibly about relocation, it means that there must be facilities created or built in areas that will have less impact of the flooding for citizens to be relocated thereto. Otherwise, it will still amount to the same area over the years, talk, no action.
Mr. Williams, it's a good way to leave the conversation. Executive Director, Environmental Defenders Network, Chima Williams, thank you very much for joining us on TVC News at 1.